talent matched the need with both of them. Juju, big, tall, athletic corner. Excited, really excited to get him. Had a couple really good years at Kansas State. He's got great character. Bonus that he's local from here in Warren. Won't be ready until training camp because of the wrist, but he'll be able to run and do things. He just can't punch with it. But he'll be good to go. We feel good about it. And then being able to get Josh Downs, that was a bonus. We really didn't expect him to be there. We actually tried to move up for about 30 minutes to try and get him. We just couldn't get up. But really excited about him. Actually, Chad Henry and Morocco had spoke glowingly about not only the talent but the character of the young man. But he's a really good fit. Gives us a need. Gives us an inside. We think he can play inside and outside. But he's fast and smart. Great with the ball great after the catch. Really high character. Probably one of the best phone calls I think I've had since I've been here making a call. Emotional, excited. You can tell he's got a little chip on him. Anyway, fire away.
Josh said that Reggie kind of zeroed in on him at the combine and told him he was the best one in his group.
Yeah, Reg came in. Actually was down on the field because I was watching the quarterbacks down on the field throw, and Reggie came over and said, "Man, it's Josh Downs." He said it was incredible. So, and he did. He had a great workout. You could see he's got a powerful lower body. He's not even though he's 171 pounds, when you see his lower body, he's got really thick thighs and quads. So he's got some strength in his lower body and power in his lower body.
Maybe big. I mean, you've drafted a lot of big body guys.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah. I mean, we had some. We wanted to add more speed. Whether it was, with the size, at the end of the day, really didn't matter. But he is a good compliment. That's a good call by you. He is a good compliment to what we have.
You said something that honors me that he likes variation in his wide receiver room.
Yep.
And this kind of fits that.
Yes.
I'm sorry he was all on board with this kid.
Yes. We all liked it. We were all on board with it. And hard not to be. I watched him play against Duke. I was actually watching Sam Howell a year ago when they played Duke, and I think he caught 8 for like 168. Had a huge game. This kid's a good player. He's a good football player.
Grades down. Just kind of felt like you were going to have people left on your board.
Yeah, more shots. We picked up some extra picks. I think how many do we have tomorrow? 8. 8. We got 8 picks tomorrow. We think there's still some really good players. We've done really well in that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round area. And excited about it.
Making those moves down, was Juju kind of a guy you just kept an eye on that whole time? Did you feel like he would last that long?
We had probably a target. There's probably 5 or 6 guys on the board. And, when we kept moving, when you have that much depth on the board, we're like, okay, we can still move down and get a player we really like. It's good that it's at a position we needed to add a player, but we would have gone another position if he'd have gone. But we like the talent, at that level as we kept moving down, and the ability to add, the extra pick, especially the extra 4th, where we think there's some pretty good players. We thought that value was too good to pass up.
First 3 picks you went kind of needs-based, right? Quarterback, whether that was the play or not, quarterback, corner, receiver. Does that kind of open you up a little bit tomorrow?
It does. Yeah, it does. It does open us up. We'll start taking, it, like you don't, especially when you get in the 4th, 5th round, you don't want to pass up one that you got a little higher. You just take the player, even no matter the position. You just take them.
The offensive line, what are you trying to accomplish maybe the rest of the way? I know you're not.
I can't give that away. But I'll tell you this: we do think there's depth. We do think there's depth at that position, and we think there's depth on the D line too.
Downs as a punt returner.
Yeah, we'll definitely give him a shot. We got Isaiah McKenzie too. We signed who's really good at it, so we think we'll have good depth there.
How do you think his front with just the size and his length and just him being sort of a different type of body?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of guys 6'3" playing corner in the league, but he is a really good athlete. He's a really good fit for what we want to do because he's a press corner, so we do want to play a little more press coverage, and we think he's going to be really good at it. He's got some unique trait. He's a really good athlete, and can change for a tall kid. He can really change direction. So we're excited about it. We think he's a really good fit for the defense.
It's not much does physicality play into that. I know you talked to the combine a lot about his mentality and loving that part of the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, both of these kids, like when you get guys with talent who love to play, and have good toughness and mental toughness, which we think both of them do, they usually hit their ceilings, and we think both these guys got really good ceilings. I know they got a good floor, but we think they got really good ceilings.
How do you see John or Julius use his length and that wingspan to his advantage in college?
Well, I mean, you can look at, I'm trying to think of games, but like he was really good at the Senior Bowl. We thought he had a really good week at the Senior Bowl. And he had his, like even the 4.50. All right. So when you're 6'3", it gives you an advantage down the field because you're not throwing over a 5'9", 5'10" guy. You're throwing over a 6'3" guy. That looks different to a quarterback.
His dad played in the league. Anybody in your building cross paths with him at all, or is that something?
It was brought up. Morocco brought it up. I think they have. He's at some point they have, but not me. I haven't. No.
Chris, with almost every one of these phone calls, it's a life-changing moment for these guys. For Julius, he was pretty overcome with emotion. Talked about growing up here wearing a Bob Sanders jersey. How special is that for you, a hometown kid who just gets what this organization means?
Juju and Josh, those were both. I mean, I like the emotions of what you get to feel on these days. I mean, that's why when I went off last night about what these kids are going through and then they get trashed, but those moments for them, those are kind of life-changing moments that you've been dreaming about, and all of a sudden your dreams are starting to come true. And it's cool to see. I told a couple of the quarterbacks that came in, we visited with them about, some of them were a little nervous and uptight, and I said, look, enjoy the journey. I said, because you're going to blink and snap your fingers, and your career is going to be halfway through and over. So I think all of it for these kids, from from signing in college to having a college career, then the work, then going to the combine, like all these events they dreamed of, and then it all kind of comes to a head on draft day. I mean, it's a cool experience to be a part of.
More Anthony with a receiver in this class and just kind of let them grow up together. Is that something you thought about or was a priority?
I mean, I hope he grows up with Pittman. I hope he grows up with Pierce. I hope he grows up with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, if you want to put it that way, yeah, it's nice. I hope he grows up with Juju Brent, who's another classmate of his. I mean, I don't ever look at it that way. I mean, you kind of fit them in. They become one of the team. I do think classes do get close. I mean, I think with Mike Zaire and, when we took Zaire and Darius, back in 2018, Braden and Quentin, I do think they get close, but I've never really looked at it that way. Awesome. Thank y'all. I'm tired, as y'all can tell. I know y'all are too. Thank y'all for staying around.
All right. That's it. So that was Ballard's presser after day 2 of the NFL draft. And, he's talking about these guys. And, he's talked about having 5 or 6 guys on their board that they really wanted today. And I think, is it safe to say that you think both of these guys were probably on that board? I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was interesting the fact that they said this about different players that they really liked before, where they tried to trade up or they did trade up for players. So Josh Downs is one of those guys where they really felt like he was too good and they felt like they needed to trade up for him. But eventually, I guess as the board fell, they felt like they could just wait there and get him. But yeah, overall, I really do think that that was a good idea. Like we talked about, they had all these different guys on the board, but they felt like it was worth the risk to trade back and get a high 4th round pick and another 5th round pick, and just really feel like they could add some quality. I do think potentially that you do see maybe them trade up into the 4th round and have a couple of 4th round picks. You never know. But talking about how there's still a lot of good players out there, I can see that being a scenario. But yeah, I really think they feel real highly about both these players, and really feel like they got some really good guys at some really good value. That's what we can definitely tell, because they traded down for one and got one guy, and then they didn't trade down. They didn't trade up, and they wanted to, but they weren't able to, and they still got their guy. So it definitely seems like the Colts feel very lucky and very fortunate to get the guys that they got.
Yeah, I mean, Brent's, just looking at him, I can imagine him being in there because, Ballard suggested it, like, we were able to trade back and still felt comfortable with the player that, obviously they picked him because they felt comfortable where they were at.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was probably 2 or 3 corners on that list that they felt that they could get. And of course, like you said, when we were talking at the beginning, when Joey Porter went, and then afterwards, Ballard said, okay, I'll trade back a few picks. I still feel confident that one of these corners is still going to be here. I can take that and go with it. And then, of course, no corners were getting taken. He said, I'm going to trade back even further. Still feel confident because of the way the draft board is going.
Yeah.
And, Brent's was still there. And, that's the prototypical one. And then again, like you said, Josh Downs, they said tried to trade for a half hour to get him.
Yeah.
Like, don't know what teams they were calling, but obviously whatever Indy was trying to offer, they didn't want to go for it, but couldn't trade up to get him and still got it.
Yeah.
At 79 where it was. And then of course, if anyone didn't hear what people were saying about Reggie Wayne, but Reggie Wayne apparently told Josh Downs that he thought he was the best wide receiver in the entire draft class, and it wasn't even close. Like, apparently Reggie Wayne thought he was better than Jackson Smith and Jigba, Quentin Johnston, and Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. All those guys that got drafted before him thought he was the best one. And crazy enough, again, when you look at the RAS score that we were talking about, he literally was a 0.01 away from being a 9. The only reason he wasn't a 9 was due to the fact of his size. He's only 5'9" and 170 pounds. But outside of that, he is elite in every category.
Yep.
Outside of that, other than his height. And that's just the only thing that you're looking for.
But it's the perfect situation and he talked about perfect complement to what they already had in that room. So I really do think like the Colts really made away pretty good here, all things considered, and didn't really, only acquired more picks in the process too. That 4th round picks, they can be pretty good. You got Grover Stewart out of it. You got Marlon Mack out of it. You've gotten some pretty solid players out of 4th round picks before. So, but then again, they can be crapshoots. You've also got the guys that haven't done anything. So, there is an opportunity. I think those guys are more of the boom or bust guys. Like, they could be really, really good, or they could be busts. And Ballard's typically done a pretty decent job, rounds 4 to 7 of getting some quality guys that can play some quality snaps for him. So the fact that they have 8 picks left is crazy.
It's wild.
And crazy considering the fact that Ballard has done such good work in those later rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is exciting. And typically you wouldn't be excited. What the heck are you so excited about with 4th to 7th round picks? But just what
Ballard,
we said, 4 5th round picks, 2 4th round picks, and 2 7th round picks. Am I missing one? Is there another one?
No, that's it. That's 8. Yeah.
Gosh,
but Ballard does a lot of great work in the late draft. Because his guys do a much better job of scouting these players and understanding what they do. We know that they've gotten. Again, Danny Pinter, a backup guard who's played a lot of time for us. Isaiah Rodgers, 6th round guy who's now our number 1 corner. Rodney Thomas from this last year, 7th round pick, but now had 4 interceptions as a rookie at safety at a position he's not used to.
2 of your starting DBs are 5th to 7th round picks.
Yeah, and he got EJ Speed in the 5th round off the intangibles. He's going to now be a serviceable linebacker for you, and there's more. that I could just continue to go on and on about. I mean, Will Fry's another guard who, has had to step into that role. He starts for you. So, I mean, again, it's
Zaire Franklin
many other
broke the franchise
Zaire
record
Franklin.
tackles.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy just because it's like most other teams, you just wouldn't care because you don't expect your team to draft
No, you
very
don't.
well. But Chris Ballard does it well. And we're fully expecting tomorrow, even though it's going to be a busy day, Ballard is definitely drooling over the fact that he has 8 picks. He has 8 different selections to find those great guys. And that may be a situation where he stretches on a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of depth still left here. There's a lot of interior offensive linemen still remaining. There's still some corners that are still left there that you can tap into.
Ringo's still there.
Yep, and some more wide receivers that you could still tap into. Tyler Scott is still there. Charlie Jones is still there. So again, there's a lot of different situations that he could go into for tomorrow. But I mean, when you talk about what the stuff that they did today, I mean, again, Indy has done the exact opposite in this draft, Cody, that we thought they needed to be, which was aggressive. They weren't aggressive at all. They stayed patient and even traded back and still got the players that we were hoping they would get. I mean, it's just crazy how the football gods have blessed Chris Ballard and his team these last 2 days.
They continue to add guys with elite traits. And now the hope is you hired the staff, you hired Steichen, you hired a whole offensive staff, you have the defensive staff in place. You just got to develop these guys, right? And you have a lot of – I personally love the idea of just drafting guys that obviously have production but also have talent, like especially like he's talking about, in these rounds 4 through 7. He says even if you have like it's not a need, but you go based off of you go based off of talent. If you have a guy ahead of it in talent, you take the guy with the talent. So I would say don't be surprised if there's some picks that you're like, it's not really a need, though. If Ballard feels like they need to go get him, if he's the best player on their board, don't be surprised if the Colts take him. So
especially with just the fact of the sheer amount of picks that you have, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they added another corner. If Ringo's still there, I don't see how you pass on him.
Yeah,
to be honest,
even with the injury concerns,
I think he's worth it. Dawan Jones is still there. You need tackle depth.
Yeah.
I mean, he was projected at one point to go, maybe a first-round pick. So the talent's clearly there. I think you can take a flyer on him, and he could be your backup tackle at the worst.
I say 106. 106, Dawan Jones, and then 110, Andrew Voorhees. You go back-to-back offensive line. Dawan Jones, immediate tackle depth for you on that right side. And Voorhees, while he may not play right away, he's a kid that late in next year and in 2024 could contend for that right guard spot to be the number 1 guy. Because, again, Voorhees was supposed to be a second-round draft pick in the draft this year if it wasn't for the fact that he tore his ACL just a month and a half ago. Yeah. So, it's
like some of these guys, maybe you see okay, we're not projecting what they can be immediately, but we're projecting what they can be in a year or whatever. With Voorhees, it's more of an injury thing, but you go and you trade up and get Ringo too. Like you have these guys that have that talent. I would not be opposed to that at all. Just getting some guys that there's no pressure then. They don't have to step in and be these immediate impact players. Now, if they are, that's great. They don't have to be. And I think that's a great, great thing. So I really am excited about just the potential here that the Colts have. You talked about it, right? They have the 4th pick and the 8th pick in the 4th round here. Yeah. So they got some guys coming up that are still available that could realistically be there for them. So I think that's great. I mean, this is a super deep draft. We talked about it. The fact that some of these guys are here, man.
We said wide receivers and interior O linemen could really be deep in this draft.
And a guy like Luke Whippler as well.
Centers, guards, and wide receivers are still a couple. And what really shocks me is the corners that's still left. I mean, Keely Ringo, obviously with the concerns of the injury, which is weird enough as is. But, Darius Rush is still there. Tomlinson is still there. You got a lot of these corners that are still there that I would have thought would have been gone by now. So, again, Ballard's going to have a smorgasbord of these guys for tomorrow. But
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Ballard again said, I'm tired, as I'm sure all of you are, and we definitely are here. We're going to go ahead and finish getting up our content for tonight. But again, hope you guys really enjoyed. Thank you again for hanging with us on this wonderful Friday. Day 2 of the NFL draft is now officially over, and the Indianapolis Colts will have day 3 tomorrow. The NFL draft will start at 12 o'clock tomorrow on a wonderful Saturday, and we will be live for the entirety of the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. There will be a lot of videos going up tomorrow. So make sure you guys have them notification bell button on, because there will be a lot of videos going up tomorrow.
Yes.
We will be keeping them posted as quickly as possible.
Tomorrow's going to be the day we hit 16K. I can just feel it.
Yep.
I can just feel it.
Noon Eastern tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. So 8 picks tomorrow, guys. 8 videos plus the live stream. So, or, there might be less. Maybe they trade up.
Yeah, we'll see. Right now, there's 8 picks.
Either way, there's probably going to be more picks than what I have on my one hand. That's most likely what I'm thinking. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Again, quick reaction to Ballard's presser, recapping day 2. There's a lot that's going to go on tomorrow, but thank you guys again so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.